So I've been making all of this blackout poetry mostly out of books that present a sort of ugly vision of things, or especially of God or Christianity, and that were felt threatening to me in the past, or I guess I believed them to my own hurt. And it's been really satisfying and really fun, and a great way to engage with these sort of voices that I don't accept unconditionally everything that they say, but there's something good that can be gotten out of it, but it requires sort of refinement and selection and rearranging, and really a lot of subversion of the original message. And it also illuminates for me how really anything that I take in, anybody's perspective that I take in, or any work of art, I'm always interpreting, and I'm always picking out what resonates with me and what I agree with and what I can understand or use, versus what I can't or don't agree with, etc. And that's okay, that's just how communication works, because we're all different. Anyway, this is a book of selections from A.W. Tozer's work. Tozer's very interesting. He's one of those like Protestant, I guess you would call it like Protestant mysticism. Top peak honey and barbiturates in here. It's like on one page he'll be like, God is the most winsome of the most winsome of beings, and when we serve him we have this joy and delight, and we can just always be conscious of God. And then in the next one he's like, if your experience makes you feel horrible and low and vile, then that's from God, and if it makes you feel good about yourself, then that's from Satan. It's like But I'm not finished with, I don't know if I'm gonna do the whole book or what, but I have hit sort of a hiatus in the making of these, so I'm just gonna read them. And really, to get the full experience, I guess you'd want to be somewhat familiar with Tozer's work. Basically, his thesis in here, it's about what in other traditions would be called the contemplative life, and and prayer, a life of prayer, and a constant consciousness of God, and having a really image of God that's worthy of God, and depending on the Holy Spirit instead of oneself, and surrender and taking the Christian life very seriously. And it's also quite Protestant American in the tone and the just if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But so I've turned it into a sort of exposition of my own view of Christianity. The knowledge of the Most High. Majesty, our God, wait on our will. The Lord is my shepherd. The church so utterly worthy. The low God, thinking the world for want of people, remains personal. There are a great many Christs among us. Christ is you. Be satisfied. There is only Christ. The romantic Christ, female, the sentimental Christ, the half-converted, Sophia Christ, Christ the poet, the muscular Christ, all there, true Christ and God. We who die fail to recognize him. We overlook him. At this very moment he is. He is. dehumanize him? Christ, the whole, living, nevertheless. That something, a poetic, a romantic Jesus, gentle, dreamy, shy, sweet, almost effeminate, and marvelously adaptable to whatever society he may find himself in. He means to acknowledge any creature in earth or heaven, an infinitely superfluous Christ, a universe, one of them. As you can maybe tell in that one, he's saying about all of the false images of Christ, most of which I have no objection to. One cause of our weakness is we think of Christ as God glorified in heaven. The world, let us look down upon it from above, in the discredited doctrine of a divided Christ. Christ will use his sacred power to further our worldly interests. God will play along with Adam. Christ is convenience and glory, never buried on high. Christ is a pleasant symbol, lauded small in every crisis. Mostly undetected, from this cross has sprung the world, oceans of good and innocent life. The cross does not slay. It is a symbol of the individual newness of life. Death, the plastic saint, once dying for us, dethronement, no pride, all we ourselves shadows. Rebel, assert self, perfect, even desired. Sit on the throne and declare, I am. That is essence, good, the deep heart of every man. The usurper on a stolen throne, under the guise of self, can die. Self is the veil of purity, of fruitfulness. Us, the vision of God's face, that earth completes heaven. Flesh means revelation. The filled life you bid, not preach, the Christian life so easy. A real Christian has his own likes. The nails disappear. We are all beautiful. Christ is making our deaths joyous life. I see. The cross of the new is a bright ornament upon the bosom of a self-assured Christianity. The cross is confidence in the new. Bright person, abide eternally, essence of true religion, spontaneity and form, refuge from the voice of power. Christ is so entangled with the world. The pattern is everywhere. The world is whitewashed by blind men. We have the art of worship. We are saints. Our religion turned sacrilege of truth's song. Christ calls men to have fun in the world, their oyster. We call them to self-abnegation and death. Call them to spread themselves like green bay trees, to become stars. Pitiful, we call them to a cheap and tawdry scorn. Adopt Christ, the first word, new now. Accept differences. No one tried to convert another to errors in his belief. Imagine. Agree to take part. Darkness and light are one, knit by life, sweet-talking goddess which took the world by the hand, turned another world too fine for research, ours, accessible to us through love. Misconceptions trap. The early Lutherans, a perturbing thing. Luther was upset, another person brought under, snapped like a trap. Faith means to rest. Faith comforts. The face washed, self-confidence rescued. I'm not making a jab at specifically Luther in this, by the way. I don't know enough about Luther's doctrine to have anything to say about him. Maybe it's more talking about how he was when he was in the monastery, and obviously under a lot of misconceptions about faith and about sin. Obedience is inadequate and must betray its victim at the last. Heart, escape the error of salvation by obedience. God will incline us whole. It is possible to accept Christ without forsaking the world. As he is, so are we in this world, our way, our life, our future. The whole world has been harmless. In it, God always answers prayer, saying, yes, desired. A growing acquaintance with the Holy Spirit will always mean an increasing love for self. The human self is the person of Christ. If this experience has served to humble me and make me little and vile in my own eyes, it is false, from the devil. God will minister to myself, encounter, develop, experience of the flesh, new spirit. Any experience that fails to deepen our love for us may safely be written off as spurious. Note how it affects our relation to the world, the beautiful nature, true touch of God. Deepen, intensify, world of enjoyments, of pleasures, of riches and reputation and happiness. In short, God. I promise the world. I move the world. Manifest Christ. Whatever is attractive may be accepted. Warn the false Christs and false prophets. Wonder is the sanctuary. Easy. Take religion lightly. Play at religion, religion being universally played. Garden overrun. Cultivate wilderness. Faith never means gullibility. Believe everything. Keep dead poison out of the life stream. Everything occult and esoteric, everything weird and strange. All this is matter. The Lord cannot conquer you. Untold treasure, so complex. Devotion has robbed souls by surrounding them with a world hostile to their existence. Know, destroy, prevent from thinking their own thoughts, while, effortless, day after day, selves long and begin. Your life is holy, real. The want, all-compelling, of your life is prayer. Christ reigns over a redeemed and restored world, the earth, live, extraordinary. It's difficult to understand Christians who insist upon living in crisis, as if crisis existed. Plenty of time to play and enjoy the pleasures of the world, well, at ease. The world burns of Christ. Measure not how much, how much, how much. Need the world total, not judged. Christian, enjoy Christ and the world too. Attraction is God. God prospers the human ego. Stop being fooled. Accept God's estimate of life. Paradox, the sight of God, important. Self in everything, made in one moment of silence. I, vaunted, breathless, encounter omniscience. We are real, wordless, the soul received like a flash of light. God has placed before his children a vast world of treasures, and they refuse to claim it. Tragedy and the fall. And lastly, refuse to surrender to the chill. Voluntary suffering is decadent. Who will go down into this dark? God will not force us into suffering. He will not lay this cross upon us, nor embarrass us. O legion of the expendables, who love not their lives, who volunteer to suffer, who invite hell. We can afford to enjoy ourselves.